So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yirmiyahu the prophet, we find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. As we read then Yirmiyahu the prophet, we establish then events and flow of the events, and these obviously are linked with Daniel, Ezekiel, and sections of Galah known as Revelation. So many people are asking, what is then the distinction from this world then being destroyed at the end versus then people wishing for this world to be rebuilt? As far as this age, can truly people understand that there won't be fixing to this age? This truly is the main topic. Let's place aside the entire understanding of the Torah and then the prophets in the entire situation. Let's analyze what then this age is set for. So then, establishing this fact, let's then firstly evaluate this earth. For how long people can understand this earth is going to last? That's the first question. The Creator himself has set a time where then this earth must be destroyed. Now, how is he going to destroy? Is he going to destroy via our own wishful thinkings? Is he going to rebuild this age against his holy words? Or he's going to do precisely what the prophets said? So then, if we are smart and we want the best and we want to save our own souls, let's evaluate then and understand what the prophets said regarding the end of this age. Now, there is a section, but it's very important. Luke, for example, gives us an understanding of this factor. As far as we can understand from this section where the Messiah was then speaking, and he said, "And as it was in the days of Noah, likewise it will to be in the days of the Son of Man," or when the Messiah then returns. For they were eating, and they were drinking, and taking wives, and giving them to husbands, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and the Vesuvius came and destroyed everyone. So then, the Messiah himself is speaking of a topic where people were doing the mundane, everyday, humdrum situations. Then came a time when then Noah entered the ark, and then the Vesuvius came and destroyed them. Obviously, it was a surprise and they were not prepared for it. In fact, they made mockery out of it. And then, and again, as it was in the days of Lot, that they were eating and drinking and buying and having trade and planting and they were building. But on the day that Lot went out of Sodom, then the Creator rained down fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them. Thus it will to be in a day that the Son of Man is revealed. So then, revealed. Let's understand again what the Messiah has said. Precisely what he said. Thus it will be in a day that the Son of Man is revealed, or revelation. We are saved when we are revealed. Now, based from what the Messiah said, when the Son of Man is revealed, he's explaining of Galah, or revelation. Now, do we understand there are the steps of formation when we read Daniel, Yirmiyahu, Ezekiel, and then Galah, Zechariah also? Do we understand there are the steps of formation where then we should have these steps in front of us besides learning the Torah? I'm going to say it again. Is it important of having these prophecies in front of us so then we can understand the future events and be then revealed, other than the study of the Torah? The study of the Torah can be very repetitious. Not saying that we should not read it. Saying we have then to have a very balanced understanding of the Torah and also the prophets. Both of them, they must be hand to hand. If a person only reads the Torah and then does not read the prophets, then a person is not fit. If a person only reads the prophets and does not read the Torah, also not fit. Now, the Creator very wisely, his name is Yahweh, and he then very smartly, because he is the wisest, he then made his holy instructions in a certain way as the basis. And he knew people are going to get in their flesh and they're going to try to do their own ways. So he holds his Torah very closely. Then he indicated his prophets, those whom he has chosen to point the way to the future. This is what he did, liking it or not liking it. So, prior of the coming of the Messiah, Yirmiyahu the prophet said, "A virgin shalt conceived." And she did. So the prophets are giving us understandings prior of the time of the Messiah and after the time of the Messiah, the 1,000 years of the Messiah, the 1,000 years of the seed, the time of the restoration period where we are at, until the end of this age. Reading from Luke, what was the Messiah explaining? Some people are going to get caught in the mundane. We read in the previous video regarding then when the Messiah was in the temple. Obviously the disciples, they were in the flesh. They wanted the future to run in a certain way. And the Messiah did not go along with them. So what do we have to understand as far as this time of the restoration period? The restoration explaining is only the holy cities of the Messiah. The main purpose of the restoration period is then rebuild the cities that were laid waste from many centuries. Yirmiyahu the prophet spoke very precisely and cleanly. As we can understand from the 61st chapter, in prior of this chapter, you find the Gentiles were included as far as rebuilding. He granted them for the service of the holy cities. So then, When a person goes to a congregation and they have some crazy ideas of the Creator refurbishing this age without destroying it, they are lunatics. They don't understand what they are talking about. Firstly, there won't be a third temple. Second, Israel won't be protected. Thirdly, we understand the first holy city is on the land of Cush, as precisely Yirmiyahu prophesied. So when we read then Yirmiyahu, we read then Ezekiel, we read Zechariah, and we read Revelation and the words of the Messiah. We are studying then events for the autumn feast. That's what it leads towards. Now, if we want to make ourselves enjoyable during this time, then we are not fit for service. This earth, while we are engaged in the work or on behalf of the work of the mighty Creator Yahweh, it's never very fun. It is a work that must be done. But some people, because they want the fun of the world and the work of the Creator, they try to kind of balance those, And there is no balance of the situation. We must be very clear as far as what the prophets are saying to us. Now, Yirmiyahu went to a point where he was destroyed. That's how obedient he was. He was placed then, stretched near a river, and then they saw him. A lumberjack sawing unit, and he was sawn in half. Because Yirmiyahu the prophet was truly a soldier on behalf of the holy instructions. And people of his time, they wanted the pleasures of this world. As far as we can read from Daniel, Daniel is explaining that during this time of the restoration period, knowledge would increase for the purposes of trade. He was the minister of trade under the kings he served under. So the knowledge we are expecting to do in the future is regarding trade. And this truly is an understanding regarding the sons of Ishmael, the first son of Ibrahim or Abraham. He is the son of trade, and the second son is the son of tabernacling. These, they don't mix. In fact, when we read the Holy Instructions, you find those who are then set aside for the work of the mighty Creator. He provides people to serve the holy cities. But the holy cities themselves, they don't mix with trade. They are engaged in worship and understanding of the Holy Torah and the holy city and the presence of the Messiah himself. Now, when this truly is spoken very clearly, people do listen. Because they are not hearing BS. And you know what BS means. The Messiah himself was explaining when he returns only to lift his people from the holy cities in this world. But there are steps of formation until he returns. Let's understand a section of Galah. Then there was the seals. We find then, on behalf of the testimony, then he found then under the altars the souls of those who were slain. What kind of an altar are we talking? As the holy cities, as they return, we know very precisely, as Yirmiyahu the prophet has said, the holy city on the land of Cush. Then, afterwards, he was explaining very precisely then the time of the end as based from these holy cities. The first holy city in the history of this planet was on a desert. That's where the mighty Creator decided to take his people to the desert. That's where they stayed for 40 years. Then they went to the promised land. And truly from then on it was a disaster after the other. Then the Messiah came. He completed the spring feast. You find these in the Torah. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, from the 1st verse through the 21st verse, is the spring feast. Now, if you are a bound-minded person, you always stay with the Torah and you don't understand the shadow prophetic events of the Torah spoken of in Hebrews, then you don't understand the Torah. What you do understand is a humdrum, repetitious thing that repeats every time. And quite honestly, the world is tired of it. Because it's not only repeating and repeating and repeating the same simple understandings. It's understanding then what the Messiah did as far as the prophetic shadow or then the reflections of the Torah. Then later on the Messiah returns to save his people, and then he lifts them up from the holy cities. We know precisely there is a city on the land of Cush plus 7 cities on Asia Minor. 8 cities on total, besides other cities the Messiah wants. So then, as far as the souls of the people, how they are going to be linked with the holy city. Most of the souls of the people, they are linked with the evil forces of this world. And our souls should never be linked with the evils of this world. They should be linked with the holy cities. Are there any cities around? No. There are no cities yet built per the instructions of Moses and the instructions of the Messiah. The first holy city is on the land of Cush. then when this city is set up as per the instructions, then shall be a route from the city on Cush and then in Israel up north. That's where then the prophecy comes that 10 Gentiles are going to get a hold of the garment of the Hebrew and saying, "Teach us, because we know the Creator is with you." They're going to make a path back and forth, north and south, to do the pruning in Israel. Because Israel is blind towards the understanding of the prophecies. However, this time has expired. They're going to start revive themselves, understanding the holy instructions and what the Messiah has said. But it's going to be done in a certain way where then the prophets already set the stage. It's going to be first stage, second, third, and fourth, and fifth, and so on, as per the instructions of the prophets. As the holy cities are then set up, then the souls of the people, they are linked with the Messiah himself directly. Now, if you go to a congregation, for instance, and you ask, where we are at as far as the prophecies are concerned, amazingly, you don't find people to give you answers. Because they got caught in their own works. Now let me ask you this. The Messiah said then for his people to set up their cities and then save the Gentiles. Isn't that the objective of the people of the Messiah, then to save the Gentiles? Now the Gentiles, they come from the world that is absolutely contaminated, and they ask, where are we at as far as the prophecies? And then most of them, they can't answer it. And if you ask, can you reveal or Revelation? Can you understand and teach us Revelation? They can't say it either. So then, as far as the world and the new system coming up, where do we find then the Dragonic period? In the 20th chapter of Revelation, you find it. Sections of it. And China is then the very nation Daniel the prophet, obviously he prayed and he fasted and he received the understandings. China is the leading nation of this period of making the increasing of knowledge in the form of trade. Then the Soviet Union comes as the protector of this system. And at the moment, the sons of Ishmael, very smartly, they are lowering the price of oil, and it's going to remain a long time. Because truly this is an understanding of prophecy. They are lowering the price so then the Soviets can start building arms. and simultaneously helping China then doing more trade with other nations. You find sections in Yirmiyahu as far as where the Messiah was when he died. So then, when we read Revelation, then every time we trace back to the prophets, we find the answers. We are not becoming new prophets, we are simply relaying the information. Next time I'm going to evaluate Revelation more in order to understand what's coming as far as the combat of the end. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.